Okay. I took, I said I was going to take a music theory class, and I did. And I just finished it this week. So, I wanted to tell you what some things that it covered, and then tell you what I thought about it. All right, so first, some things that it covered. It covered the circle of fifths, keys, and scales. So, if you've seen the circle and it has the letters around it, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Those are keys. And then, he went over every note that's in every key and the formulas for figuring out what notes are in each key. And so you got to learn all the major scales, and then he also went over all three minor scales, so natural, harmonic, and melodic minor scales. He went over chords. So a chord, I believe, is just playing three notes at the same time, at least three notes at the same time. I learned about triads, which is three notes, seventh chords, which is four notes. You can add more. Inversions, which is just the same chord, just playing it a little bit, playing the notes in a little different order. He went over progressions. So if you remember my bluesy piece experience video, I talked about the 12-bar blues. That was a progression. That was around 2:45 in the video if you want to go back and see that piece. But I learned more about progressions, which is good because I really had no idea what I was talking about back in that video. It was like my first dive into it. So he taught a lot about that. And then he taught about other stuff too, but those are like some of the really basic things he covered. And then he went into analyzing songs. So he started out with analyzing classical music, and then went to more modern day popular music. So what he did was he basically just showed how all of the things that he taught were applied in the music. So it was kind of cool because it was like, oh yeah, look at this Mozart guy. He just followed all the rules that this class set out. Anybody can do that, right? So it kind of you gained an understanding, so it kind of put things more in a more realistic perspective. And instead of going, whoa, how'd they do that? It's like, oh, everybody's just doing this. So that was kind of cool. You got to actually see what he taught used in real life music. And it really kind of like hammered all the concepts into your head until you understood them well, which was good. And then as a warning, if you take the same class I did, there's a lot of homework. So if you are out of school, it's going to feel like you're back in school. And it takes time to complete, and I really did not like doing homework in school. So the class was kind of painful to go through. I was trying to take it at least somewhat seriously, since I'm taking music seriously. So, that part stunk, but other than that, it was good. So, what I thought about it. Two things. One, I had heard some random person say one time that they kind of talked about things they wish they had learned or known or whatever when they were learning piano or something like that. And they were like a super good piano player now. And one of them was music theory. Well, it really didn't take that long. Like it was pretty early on in the course where I started to realize why that guy said that. And I think my limited understanding is it's basically just the chords. If you can recognize the chords in any form they could show up in, even broken, their inversions, everything. If you can recognize chords when you see them, you will be able to read music, sheet music, so much faster and easier. And therefore you will be able to play it faster and easier. Everything will just go smoother because you'll recognize what's on the page instead of going, oh, that's an E, okay, that one's a G, that's a C, you know, like if you can just recognize all those forms of chords, I feel like I can understand how that would make it just everything be so much easier, and it would just be easier to learn the instrument. So that's cool. But you'd have to memorize them to be able to recognize them, if that's not obvious, which that's the hard part for me. That would take some work to memorize the chords. And then for my own music. So do I think this will help me make my own music? Because that was the whole point of me taking this course. Oh, it'll be good for you. You know, this will hopefully help me put instrumentals to my stuff. Because if you remember, I tried to put random notes, chords or whatever, to a random chord to like every other word of one of my songs. And what I did to do that is I just picked out random junk because I didn't know what I was doing. I just threw my hands on the keyboard to some random notes until I found something that sounded like what I might want. And then I moved on to the next, word to put a chord to. And at the end of it, it didn't turn out, it didn't sound anything like I wanted it to at all. So, you know, so the hope is that this class would help me with that, right? Because clearly I don't know what I'm doing. Well, I think it will. I think that it has given me, like, the knowledge I gained from it. I think it has built a base that I should be able to build off of. So I do think it will help give me that, like, it'll give me a place to start, and then I can kind of, you know, like I said, build from there. So I do think it'll do that. I thought I was most confident that it would help when I sat through the last 15 minutes of the last lesson of the class. So in the last lesson, he basically just goes over all the basic concepts he's taught and applies them. So he took Amazing Grace and he took 4 measures from it, basically. So Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. That's it. Just that tiny little piece of that song. Super, super simple song. Super tiny piece of it. And he put just super basic chords to it. And then he started applying the concepts that he learned in class. And then he applied another one, and another one, and another one. And he kept building these layers. And then when he got to the last 2, that's where it got, like, the most interesting to me, especially the last one. And I felt like when I saw that, I was like, this is what I've been looking for. This is what I wanted out of this class. So I think, by the end of it, I feel pretty confident that this is going to help me. So hopefully I'm right about that. We'll find out. But I don't think there's anything else to say.